Okay, call to order the regular meeting of the East Grand Forks Economic Development Authority. It's now noon on Tuesday, May 12th, 2020. Brenda, can you please call roll?
Johnson.
Here.
Black. Blair.
Here.
Pokrzywinski.
Here.
Hecht.
Here.
Grinde.
Here.
Helms.
Here. All right, we have a quorum.
Excuse me, did you want to change that to June 9th,
Yeah, instead of May.
May 12th?
Oh, I missed
Thank you.
that, sorry.
We did that just for profiling purposes.
Well, I just want to make sure somebody watching is like, oh, this is old.
I'm sorry. Yep, okay. What did I say, May 12th?
May 12th.
June 9th.
The other May 12th.
Right.
Yeah.
The second one.
Okay, item number 2, approval of minutes for the May 12th, 2020 regular meeting and the May 20th, 2020 special meeting.
Move.
Motion by Grinde,
Second.
second by Mr. Hecht. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Bills and communications, review of accounts payable, May 19th, 2020, and review of accounts payable, June 2nd, 2020. Anybody have any questions? All right, hearing none. Move on to reports. Delinquency update, Mr. Gordy.
We have no delinquencies.
No delinquencies.
But remember, we have a couple people who have deferred payments because of this, but we have no delinquencies.
Okay. All right. Monthly financial report.
Thank you.
Carla.
Brenda emailed March and April to you. And nothing out of the ordinary, like Paul said, there was no delinquencies. There's also a cash balance for each fund attached to your agenda items right now. And if you look at that, I guess the only one that to call attention to is the 280 fund in the housing lot. If you notice, every month, it's getting more money into it, and that has to do with sales of lots. And we also had some 10-year improvements that came back. So, any questions?
Do we have any questions for Carla? All right. Thank you. All right, Mr. Gordy, the director's report, what you got for us?
It's attached. As you can see, there was a lot of activity related to the virus, what's going on, filtering information, distributing information, working with businesses and talking with businesses about opportunities. We're working on the loans that we approved last time. Ron's having us sign the paperwork so we can do the closings. Those are scheduled. 2 of them are scheduled this week. And beyond that, we have 2 more of those loans here today, and I have 2 more sitting at my desk that weren't ready for the loan committee last week. One is giving me some additional information. The other one is all set to go. So we'll set up a loan committee meeting and get those taken care of shortly. On other things, it's just grass cutting up in Water's Edge, for example. Working with our contractor to make sure that he's picking up all the lots. Since we got the 2 lots back, I talked with him about making sure those lots were there. And because we've sold several lots, the people to whom we've sold them are responsible, except we're taking care of the 1 lot on 23rd because it's just easier to mow the entire stretch than it is to stop for one and then keep going. And I working in a couple businesses about expansions and new equipment. And I'm working with one person who wants to establish a new business in East Grand Forks, and we're looking for the funding because it'll be startup funding. So we're looking at the sources of money that are available for startup funding, and there are several different sources: angel funds, EP5 crowdfunding, and venture capital firms and things like that that are available to do that. And there's also one program through DEED, Department of Employment and Economic Development on the state level. That program nobody has used since 2008, but it's still alive. So that's another possibility too.
I got a quick question on, when you're talking about mowing those lots, the one we're mowing that somebody owns, is there a charge for that?
It's a not-for-profit, so
Okay.
and it's something we wanted to do, and we've talked about it.
Okay, I'm just curious so we don't run into other people that buy lots and say, why aren't you mowing mine too?
Yeah, normally that's what happens, the people have to start mowing their own. This is one that's a not-for-profit
Okay.
that has bought it and will be doing things to build the house for, what the junior college students build.
Okay,
Okay. So it's just those circumstances. It was as convenient for us to mow it as it was for them to participate on that. It's actually easier for us to continue to mow it.
right.
Any other questions for Paul? All right, thank you, Mr. Gordy. Hope you keep busy. All right.
Yeah.
Item number 5, unfinished business, emergency loan for TNT Outfitters.
TNT Outfitters is asking for the $20,000 loan. Their income, they put down the monthly amount as opposed to the annual amount. Okay? The loan committee recommended.
That's nice to know.
Yes, yes, it was. When I talked to Tim about it, Tim Tweeten about it, we had a chuckle on that one, okay? So the loan committee recommended unanimously, and I recommend approval of the loan.
Move.
Okay. Motion by
Okay, wait.
Grinde,
I think so.
second by Hecht. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Johnson,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Pokrzywinski.
Yes.
Hecht,
Yes.
Grinde,
Yes.
Helms.
Yes. Okay. Item number 6, under new business, emergency loan for Monarch Travel.
Monarch Travel is a travel agency that was totally shut down by this, and tours were canceled, and they get the revenue at the time the tours are taken, not before. And this is the business that I told you about at our last meeting. It was going to be asking for money, but asking that it not be dispersed to them until August or September, because that's when they will start to be able to book tours. Things are starting now slowly, but they'll be able to do that. They are also, because of the extension of the Paycheck Protection Program, they are going to be able to actually follow through on that loan and get monies from there, because they weren't going to be operating in time to use the monies. They were waiting and working with the bank to defer it as soon as it was extended, and it was signed last Friday. That means they can work through that program as well. They have everything in order. Like I said, the only idiosyncrasy on this one is that we, as part of your motion, make sure that you approve a deferral of the disbursement of funds until later this year. So the loan committee recommended approval, and I recommend approval.
Move.
Second by Grinde, second by Helms. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Pokrzywinski.
Yes.
Hecht,
Yes.
Grinde,
Yes.
Helms.
Yes. All right. Item 6B, improvement loan for Riverwalk Enterprises LLC.
Riverwalk Enterprises owns the mall that contains the theater and 10 other uses, 10 other businesses in there. They are converting part of their space into a restaurant and some other recreational uses. And the Riverwalk, this is separate, totally separate from River Cinema. It's a separate business. And they are asking for, they're doing a $270,000 improvement. Our policy is basically 1/3 to a maximum of $150,000, so they're asking for $90,000 as part of that $270,000. They are self-funding the rest of the project for $180,000, so this meets our criteria. The loan committee recommended approval, and I recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Blair, second by Grinde. Questions or discussion?
Call roll.
Johnson,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Pokrzywinski.
Yes.
Heck,
Yes.
Grinde,
Yes.
Helms.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
6C, letter from Justin LaRock from Spud Jr. I don't know if you all had a chance to read his letter.
Let's make sure everybody reads it now before we start to discuss it.
Okay. All right, if you want to take some time to read through it and discuss it, give it about 3 minutes. Okay, if you want to make some comments, Mr. Gordy? or-
I'd just like to open the floor.
Okay.
Everybody who's watching, Mr. LaRock is asking for consideration for restaurants who were partially closed. They were allowed to do only certain types of business until the 1st of June. That was carry-out and pickup type business, delivery type business, which, it terribly restricts the type of traffic that occurs at the restaurants that rely on sit-down traffic. June 1st, the businesses were allowed to have outdoor seating to a maximum of 50 people, no more than 4 at a table unless it's a family, then you could have 6. It begs the question of what do you do if you have a 7th person in that family, but that's not, okay. We received this letter prior to the new executive order, which opened up Phase 3. Phase 3 allows restaurants to open internally, so sit-down restaurants can open, and they have a certain capacity, and I don't remember what the capacity is. It's either 25 or 50%, I just don't remember. 50. Thanks, around 50% that they can open indoors. And it doesn't say anything that I don't recall it saying anything you have to close down, so they can do a combination of indoor and outdoor. And so that starts tomorrow when restaurants can open, and you can go in and sit down. So Mr. LaRock was pointing out the difficulties financially that restaurants have had, and he's asking that there be some consideration to opening up some of either the emergency program or doing something under our regular loan programs for restaurants. Mr. LaRock has also submitted a loan application under the regular program, but he has not yet submitted the attachments that we require, and I have reminded him he needs to submit those attachments as well. Okay, so that's a quick summary of what was in the letter.
Mr. Helms?
So he's not asking, he's not looking for the 20,000, he's looking for more like the loan, like,
I don't recall what his loan amount that he was asking for. Okay, I can't answer that.
I think he was looking for under that loan parameter that we put out, but the question would be did restaurants fit into the criteria that we outlined?
They did not fit into the criteria that we outlined because they were partially open. Because they served people, there were 3 ways they could serve customers. They could deal with customers as as pickup, delivery, or, I don't remember. But it was basically, it was no internal dining that was allowed for restaurants.
Which I find, I mean, I think that obviously our downtown restaurants are a huge part of our downtown. You know, we don't want to see these restaurants struggle and potentially have to go out of business. It's already been publicized of 2 businesses in the community that are shutting down, closing. I think COVID had a huge play in that. Even though they weren't deemed under the essential businesses, or the non-essential, I should say, that we outlined, I'd like to hear other people's thoughts on what we should do with this or where we should go, because I look at it that I have people that I know that own clothing stores, and they were closed, but yet they could still do online sales. They could still ship out their clothes and sell them online, which still had greatly reduced revenues, just like these restaurants. I think the restaurants, since they were the first ones that were shut down to limit their revenue, they're the ones that are struggling the most. I'd like us to be able to see to possibly do something for anybody that needs the help there. Whether that's having to broaden what we put in our parameters, or if we have to look at doing some type of different loan fund or helping them in other ways. I don't know what others' thoughts are on that.
I don't disagree.
I don't either. The whole problem that happened with this whole thing is that when this COVID hit, the governor's come out and asked the businesses to close down for 2 weeks to stop this.
Yep.
Everybody agreed to 2 weeks. Everybody did not agree to 4, 5, 6 months. And that's where the problem is. They basically kind of lied to us a little bit about that. There was only going to be 2 weeks. And instead of giving us that option, they just said, no, you're going to stay closed.
Yep.
That's where the problem comes in, is everybody agreed to 2 weeks. We can handle 2 weeks. We can't handle 4, 5, 6 months. We just can't do it. So, and the other thing coming up tonight on the council, I think also is, they might be closing Demers Avenue down to fix that bridge.
Okay, for the bridge, that's a, if I remember correctly from the discussions, 2 days, Ron? Maybe
Max of 2 days.
Yeah, maximum of 2 days. Okay? And I've already talked with Steve Emery about the timing of that and how it can have the least impact upon the businesses, and how we will talk with the businesses about that. And Steve and I will work on that to work with the businesses, so it's a time that has the least impact upon them.
Because we're, you know, I mean, even so, if they call, you know, we're cutting
still
off their
hurts.
lifeline again,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
I mean, so I guess what I'm saying is, we probably are gonna need to help some of these restaurants too.
And I don't disagree.
The guidelines that we set up, we had a deadline, and it says Friday, June 9th, which is not right.
It was June 5th is what we changed.
Okay, so in the minutes, it does say June 9th,
Okay.
okay?
Well, that got by all of us then. We
Yeah.
approved those minutes.
I know we did, I just noticed that now. So technically, our program is closed,
But we can
right?
open it up.
We can open it back up. So, also in our guidelines, we said we would not exceed $300,000. So, with what we've approved, how much have we spent of that $300,000?
Well, we've approved 58,000, and then today you added another 40,000, that's 98, and we have potentially another 40 to be approved, so that's 138.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have money left in our program.
Yeah, and that's what we deemed, that we're going to use this date, but we can
Right.
vote as a group to extend it if need be.
There's a
Because if we
potent-
open it to one,
We got to open it to
we
all.
got up to all of them.
Yeah.
I agree.
Could we just limit it to restaurants though?
Well, that would be my question, is
Yeah.
can we take it a step by step and go restaurants?
I would go restaurants, then,
And see if there's money still left, and then potentially if there's 4 or 5 amounts left for loans, open it up to either a next group that is hardly impacted also, or just open it up to whoever else is affected.
I think we should take it the one step with the restaurants first.
I believe,
Yeah.
Now, there's a pool of about 24 or 25 restaurants. So that's the maximum number of restaurants.
So
If
that would
everybody,
be our threshold.
if at 25, at 20,000,
Well,
that'd be 500,000.
yeah, so we're gonna have to be willing to go beyond that 300,000 then. there are additional funds available.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, the impact, as far as I can tell, has been different on restaurants that rely on sitting, customers coming in and sitting, as opposed to the restaurants that have very strong drive-through presence.
Right.
They've been hurt, but it's been a different scale of hurt. And, you know, that's a very subtle difference. And I don't know whether that is something that should be considered, but that's something I just throw out to you, that there is a difference between the restaurants that can't have any indoor customers and those that have a very strong.
I don't know if we want to
Pickup
discriminate
presence.
against a type of restaurant because they might be able to weather this better or not, I think.
I don't
Because
think
we
we
didn't,
can, but-
we didn't when we looked at retail, you know, like you said, some could do online and keep their online business going. You're going to have restaurants that already had strong delivery programs as well, you know. We're
But
very
as-
used to ordering pizza and have it delivered. We may not be used to ordering Mama Maria's and having it delivered.
Right.
So that makes a difference. So I looked at it the same way as those online sales. So I don't think we can try to determine who's been hurt more
No,
and
we
who's not.
can't.
And one thing Mr. LaRock says that I know personally, I used to be in the restaurant business, and I know what a restaurant profit and loss statement looks like. Their margins are thin in the best of times. And so what we do for them is not going to save them, but as I've always felt about our role here during this crisis is we can be a part of the solution. And
A lending hand.
yep, and so
Well, do we discuss a different type of program then, if we're for just restaurants?
No. Keep it simple.
And then we just, if we have to extend our money, then we extend it?
Then we'll have to vote it up from there, I would say.
so you're suggesting we open this up to other businesses besides restaurants?
No, I'm just saying because of how many restaurants Paul alluded to that would be
Right.
opening to it, that we know we don't have enough money to take care of them.
Yep.
You know, I commend these restaurant owners. If you go around town and you look at what they're doing, you know, they're building parklets to try to put tables out. They're buying tables to put 5 or 6 tables outdoor.
Yeah.
How does a restaurant sustain on 5 or 6 tables? I mean, they're not only hurting bad, they're spending money to try to stay in
Right.
operations, which, you know, like I said, I commend these guys for everything they're doing, and that's why I want to do anything we can to help.
Yep.
What about, I agree, but what about the chains like McDonald's and Burger King and whatnot?
Those are locally owned.
So they can,
They're franchised.
Yeah, they're a
I'm
franchise.
saying they're franchise, but I mean,
Yeah.
so they qualify too?
They would be a
They've been
locally,
making money.
they're a locally owned business, and they may not need to apply. What we found is of all the businesses we talked to, there are only 7 who applied for the other
Yeah.
program.
Well, as Justin says, nobody wants to take on more debt in this kind of time, but it might be,
But this is an inexpensive debt.
Right,
It's not like you have,
absolutely,
you know, and
absolutely.
we designed it that way.
If you put a deadline on it, then you have a better idea of how much you might have to dip in.
Yeah,
what is it, May 12th?
so basically what you're saying, Justin, is it's just open it up for restaurants only at this point.
Yep.
Because everybody else had their opportunity.
You're right, you're right. I'll make that motion.
Repeat that.
Extend, open it up for restaurants. We're gonna.
Do we want
we're
to
gonna
put a
go the
date on
great-
it?
Huh?
Like, say, like 2
Next
weeks?
Wednesday?
2 weeks, like
No,
the-
next
No.
week.
I was going to say the week after, Josh, and the reason is I've got to be able to send out the information, put
Sure.
it together as a package.
So you
and send
want
it
2
out.
weeks?
So it'll be basically 2.5 weeks from this coming Friday. This Friday is what, the,
Yeah, I guess I'm not so concerned about
26th.
that tight of a deadline either.
It'd be nice if we could get them all in by the time the loan committee would meet again, so that they can review them, and then it can be acted upon at the July meeting.
So we'd want a loan committee to meet when?
we meet is the 26th that Friday, Josh?
Yes.
So we could meet the following Tuesday, which is what, the 30th?
30th?
Yep.
The 30th. And our meeting's scheduled for July 7.
And I won't be here July 7th, I hope.
I probably won't be either.
So if they're meeting on the 30th, what kind of deadline do we need to have the information ready for them?
So they'd have to have it all,
By the 26th?
yep.
We tell them to have it in by the 26th and just put an agenda. That doesn't really work because Brenda's got to put the agenda, no, for a loan committee?
Yeah.
I do that. I can take care of that and send it out on Friday. Okay? So I can do that. Maybe we set the deadline at something like 3 o'clock in the afternoon instead of 5. So that way I have those last 2 hours to put the
Yes.
agenda together.
And
And then we can meet on the 30th.
But you'd have Monday too, to prepare it.
I've got, yeah, that's right. So 3 PM or 5 PM on the
3.
26th?
Anybody else not going to be here on July 7th?
Well, I'll second Josh's motion, okay?
We need the full, I need the rest of the motion.
The motion is it's open back up to restaurants only. Applications need to be in by 3 o'clock, Friday the 26th.
Using the same criteria that we...
Same criteria, yep.
What are we missing, Ron? Anything we're missing?
I think.
A checkbook.
Okay, so Grinde made the motion.
Everybody second it?
Blair, second.
Okay.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Johnson.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Pokrzywinski.
Yes.
Hecht.
Yes.
Grinde.
Yes.
Helms.
Yes.
Okay. July 7th meeting, are we going to have enough people that are going to be able to make that one?
Can they zoom in or just gone?
So
I could
Donna.
possibly call in,
Okay?
Black being here, too.
not just sure where we're
Did you
going to be.
Zoom that day?
Maybe. I'm
Yeah.
hoping to be in the center of Lake of the
Justin, you'll be
Woods.
here. Dale, you'll be here.
American side.
There'll be 5 of us.
Yes.
I don't want you to zoom in and miss that big one.
Okay.
That shouldn't be anything.
And then we
Now,
might have
there
to
is
have
one
some
thing I wanted
bleeps
to
in
point out to you.
there.
You're talking about July 7th.
Order.
Look at your meeting dates coming up. It's going to be difficult for Carla to prepare the financial reports with the meeting getting closer and closer to the first of the month. And I'll tell you, when it gets down to the 4th and the 1st coming up,
There's no way.
it's going to be.
And if you're okay with just being a month behind,
Yeah,
that's
that's right.
fine, but
'Cause
yeah.
my report's-
Just I can't get the receipts all done.
You don't see red flags coming that we got to worry about anyway.
No.
So,
No.
Yeah.
And-
And my report isn't going to be able to be done for the first of the month either. So they're going to have to trail, and it just is a matter of the meeting calendar versus when the end of the month is.
Right.
So just so you're aware,
I'm
that's coming
okay
up.
with that.
So you're okay leaving it the way it is?
I'm okay leaving the meeting calendar the way it is.
All right.
I just want to let people know there are some consequences to
Yep.
that, and we just don't be surprised.
All right.
Thank you for
That's
bringing
fair.
that up.
Anything else?
No, Carly, I want you here on the 4th of July, getting that done.
Well,
Good luck.
Carla did a fantastic job getting the reports ready, because I had asked her this time, because it was so early in the month, if she was going to be able to make it, because there's a lot of stuff, and she's working
Oh,
with auditors
absolutely.
right now, and I didn't want her to be put in a position where
You just
she
don't have to
couldn't get
click
the
a
report
button.
done.
Move
Wow.
adjournment.
Motion to adjourn, second by Grinde. Oh, wait,
I just
further discussion?
have one question.
Okay.
How long does it take after these loans are approved? How long does it take to actually get to the business?
I'm, right now, I just got the funding and worked it out with Paul, so I've got, it depends upon how many,
Uh-huh.
and the setting up closing dates. To be
Okay.
able to get all the particulars for the documents, the names, all of that, and then set up a date. Because right now, up until just recently, nobody was doing in-person closing.
Yes.
Okay. I was just curious because I talked to somebody today that we approved that hadn't received or signed anything or anything yet, so I was just wondering what
Yeah,
all
'cause
this is.
I'm closing this afternoon, I'm doing waves, and then on Wednesday, I'm doing all pro, and then I've got to, the only other one that was approved was
River Cinema.
Cinema Inc., and Paul indicated that there was a reason that she couldn't do it this week.
Okay.
And it would be next week.
Okay.
Good
enough.
Because that had to do with her calendar as opposed to something we could do. But it takes a week to 2 weeks afterwards to get the money into their hands after, because we
Okay.
have to prepare the paperwork.
Perfect, that's what I wanted to know. Okay. Okay.
All in
that's-
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we're adjourned.
Oh, yes. I gotta do this.